Hello and welcome to the Healed by Faith podcast. This is Clark Varin, your podcast host, and I'm also the author of Healed by Faith, where I share my spiritual journey, how I was able to heal myself from chronic illness that no doctor, no Western medicine was able to tell me what was wrong with me. And I ended up finding out that it had a spiritual root, and I healed myself. And now I'm bringing this podcast to you so that you can learn the same principles that I learned and heal yourself as well. So what you can expect from this podcast is two things. First of all, it's going to be a podcast of spiritual development, because the reason why we can get sick from our spiritual layer of being is because we aren't spiritually developed, because there's gaps, there's holes, there's things that we need to work on personally, and that illness is actually there in order to show us what it is that we need to fix, what it is that we need to work on. So that's going to be one thing. But the second thing is I'm going to be bringing on guests. And some of these guests, perhaps they will continue to help us with the path of spiritual development. But more importantly, I'm going to be bringing on testimonies. People who have gone through their own spiritual healing journey and can share with us what it was like for them. Because what I've found to be so powerful in terms of helping people believe that healing is possible for them is to show them that there are thousands of people who have followed these principles, who have healed themselves, and by following these principles, they have ultimately been able to get down to the root cause of the disease. That means no symptoms, no more drugs, no more pills, nothing. They are completely healed. And so that is my goal with this, is to be able to show you that healing is possible and to encourage you along the way to keep some accountability and to be able to help you completely indoctrinate yourself into this study. Now, with this, if you have not yet claimed my free online course on how to heal yourself from spiritual disease, then claim it now. If you pre-order a copy of my book, which is available on clarkvarin.com, then you'll be able to get that online course for free. And it comes with a meditation, which is the meditation that I followed, that I created through my own spiritual journey in order to learn how to heal myself. And so what's unique about this podcast is that I have come full circle. I grew up as a Christian, and now I'm a die-hard Christian. But for a point there, I did not believe. I turned into a non-believer, and I was very much questioning my faith. And then through spectacular fashion, God woke me up, showed me, hey, I'm freaking real. I'm in charge of all things, and you're going to obey me now in order to heal yourself. And so I went through this crazy spiritual journey, not because I grew up with this religion, because I lost it and then refound it, right? And not because it's what I had initially chosen as my religion, which I basically at some point became like Buddhist, New Age, whatnot, but because I actually had to experiment for myself what was working, what was actually healing me. And what I found through all of my experimentation is that Christianity is like Christ is the healer, right? Like he ultimately my faith in him is what ended up healing me. I prayed to him, believed in him, and he ended up casting all the sin out of my body. And by casting out the sin from my body, I was able to get better. So this is an interesting podcast because my story is quite interesting. There's a lot of plant medicine involved, a lot of ayahuasca, a lot of peyote and mushrooms. These are things that I plan to study in the future in order to see how they might fit in to spiritual healing, because it's become very clear to me that these medicines are extremely valuable. There is a time and a place for them. There are certain people who need them. There are certain diseases that may benefit from them tremendously. And what I really want to do is I want to study the root cause of different diseases, different spiritual diseases, like Alzheimer's, like autoimmune disease, things where the body either deteriorates or attacks itself are very, very evident signs of spiritual warfare. Things like psychosis, where people hear voices in their head, is obviously spiritual warfare. Like that's a demon that's on the mental layer of being, and that needs to get out. And so there's a whole bunch of different illnesses. In fact, one book that I picked up that helped me tremendously on my own spiritual healing journey was called A More Excellent Way. They have diagnosed 500, or helped cure, I should say, 500 different diagnoses of disease by getting down to the spiritual root, by teaching people biblical principles. It was the same thing that I had concluded where I ended up coming to Christ in order to heal myself. This book has done the exact same thing where they came to the same conclusions that Christ is a healer. If you believe in him, then he can heal you. He can help you recover from addictions. He can help you recover from traumas. He can help you recover from physical illness. He can help you recover from psychosis, from even things like schizophrenia, things that we simply do not understand. A lot of things that we don't understand have a spiritual root, and that's why we don't understand them, is because while science is super good at analyzing the physical layer, the chemical layer, the biochemistry of what's going on in the cells, what the neurology of what's happening in the brain, we look at brain scans, all this stuff. There's a lot to understand about the physical layer, but ultimately we will never be able to get down to the root cause of these diseases if we don't look at the spiritual root, because that's where a lot of these diseases come from. It has nothing to do with like the brain short-circuiting itself in epilepsy. It's because a spirit is causing that short-circuiting. That is ultimately the root cause, not the symptom. So this is what we're going to be discussing in this podcast. Is I'm going to be bringing on guests who are going to help you fully believe in what I'm saying, because a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is going to be super far-fetched out there. You're probably not going to believe it at first. I was a huge skeptic myself, at least. I didn't really understand what it took in order to, I didn't know what it meant to be sick spiritually in the first place. I eventually discovered that firsthand, and then I discovered how to heal myself firsthand as well. And the principles I learned to heal myself are the same principles that Jesus taught. It's also the same principles that I learned from indigenous cultures. And it's going to be a combination of the different things that I've learned from even like New Age healers like Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, Jesus, indigenous cultures. I take the best of what I've learned from each one of those different leaders, those different teachers, and I combined them into the practice that helped me heal myself most effectively. And so this is what we're going to be getting into. I'm super excited for you to be joining me on this journey. If you are sick, or if you know someone who is sick, please reach out. Let us know what's going on with you so we can help you along your journey. We have resources for you. We have community groups for you to be able to join so that you can receive prayer and give prayer. And I just want to be there as a light for anyone who's really going through a really struggling time, because I had to be brought to my knees, literally begging for mercy, begging for God to save my life before I finally understood this stuff. And then finally, once I became to understand these principles, I began to get better. I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. I literally spent tens of thousands of dollars, traveled the world looking for healers, almost killed myself, almost died on multiple occasions, and ultimately the answer the whole time, crazy enough, was in my Bible, and I just had to diligently practice those things. It's difficult to diligently practice those things on your own, and the good thing that through my experience is that I was able to feel the healing happening. I was able to actually feel the presence of angels. I was able to feel prayers, which is really crazy. It gave me an ability to be able to study healing, the cause and effect of spiritual healing, down to a super, super deep level. What was working, what wasn't working. And by studying that for so long, over the course of a year, and finally getting to the very, very end of my journey, I was able to develop programs that work scientifically, because science is about studying cause and effect, right? Well, I basically got to study the science of spirituality through my illness, which allowed me to be able to create these programs. And then God made it very clear to me that if I wanted to heal completely, I had to actually share that knowledge with you. So this is my work. This is my devotion to God. There's no other motive that I have other than to be able to help you and serve God. And one final thing that I like to do with this podcast is to be able to do community group healings on people who really need it. And so if you know someone who is really sick, who really badly needs a miracle recovery, then please share it. Please email me at clark@clarkvarin.com. Send me a testimony or a quick description of what is going on, and so that I can announce that they need prayer on this podcast. We can reach a lot of people, and through the miracles that are possible through collective prayer, we will be able to hopefully make a difference in that person's life. Now, don't forget, if you have not claimed it yet, get your free online course at clarkvarin.com. When you pre-order my book, you get the free course, you get the meditation. These are the true keys to being able to heal yourself. You have to understand the principles, you have to understand what to do, and then you have to diligently follow it. And so that's what I include with that course and with this meditation. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey. I'm so excited to be able to share more in the future episodes, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you. Take care.